The question I get asked most often when coaching agents, bringing agents into my organization is, do you offer leads? I'm going to dive into this question as it comes from lead generation and why I think one thing that will change everybody's perspective on lead generation, and we'll explain that and more as we dive into this one. What's up, guys? Jeremy Kane, the Real Estate Agent Playbook. I would love for you to like, comment, subscribe, share this podcast with a real estate agent that you may know who may need to hear this, because as we all get into the business, we have to have more leads, and we're so lead focused, right? And as you know, I pretty much think leads are garbage. However, the conversation that comes from a lead is actually what we need to focus on. However, I'm also going to tell you that everything works, and we're going to dive into how we make everything work right now. So if we step back and we look at lead generation and understand that the lead generation is certainly the lifeblood into our business, right? New business coming in all the time, especially as a new agent, because all business is new. Once we get a few deals under our belt, we provide that A+ service to those clients. They're going to start talking, and our business will grow organically, which is the key, right? But for some agents to get off the ground, depending on your situation, you may need a little bit more lead generation, so to speak. And whether that's door knocking or cold calling or ads or Zillow or Realtor.com or all of these things, I challenge you to really focus less on the lead, more on the conversation and converting them into a client or a relationship, but even more beyond that, as you know, making sure that they have that amazing experience so that they can be a client over and over and over again and share your name from the rooftops to anyone looking for anything in your area as it pertains to your real estate career. And so that's my kind of strategy and what's super important. And the more and more practice we get at the conversation and the converting into a relationship, the better we will be. So what's that look like, right? What is a lead, right? A lead is an opportunity to have a conversation, but a lead, again, is nothing without that conversation happening. And I encourage my agents, the 80 some agents that I, coach and mentor in my downline, and then agents from outside. I'm starting a coaching, platform with that, as you guys know. I encourage them to really focus and give the power to every conversation they have. And regardless of if it's, making a call after a Facebook lead click, or it's somebody at Bible study who's having a question, or, cultivating some sort of conversation about the real estate world. First of all, every conversation is practice. However, we need to provide our value before it's just like, okay, that's not a lead. And I think sometimes we don't put enough emphasis on the conversations we have in the day-to-day, even in a social setting or, somewhere else. We don't put the emphasis on those conversations to really see if that conversation will lead to business. And I'm not saying that you have to be 100% focused on business and don't have any conversations that don't lead to business. However, there's opportunities out there all over the place. And so that is a lead to me, is just that conversation, right? And it's how we convert in that conversation, how we show up. And, as you guys know, I really like to say, what value can I bring to you, right? If you're a real estate agent, you need a vendor list. You need to build community relationships so that you become the guy or the gal that's got a guy or a gal for every single situation, especially as it pertains to real estate, but also as it pertains to the community, right? If you have somebody move in who, gets their hair done and loves pampering themselves at a salon or whatever, well, find a salon that you can just say, hey, go check this out, right? First one's on me. Or, this salon offers a discount if you, mention my name, because I've helped them, by doing YouTube highlights and, promoting their event and sponsoring their nonprofit or whatever that looks like. You can drive business to those people in the community, and it just builds the camaraderie within the community. So that's right, I said it. Every conversation is technically a lead. And so if it's just a conversation that needs to be a lead, I would suggest probably not paying big bucks and giving away 35 or 50% of your commission to get a lead. Because if every conversation is a lead, you can get way more conversations for absolutely free in your community than you can from, a direct source like that. However, choosing the right lead generation source is absolutely key for you, right? If you're an introvert and you hate talking to people, well, this conversation piece might be really hard, right? And we might have to practice a little bit, and we can't just be inside of our shell and don't talk to anyone, but we can approach it a little bit differently. So again, if you are doing social media ads or you are on the realtor.com or the Zillow drip, certainly that's practice enough. However, we must practice, and that's the point that people don't understand. I don't care if you're doing mailers or you're door knocking, right? A door knocker first day out might be terrible at their script and, blow it and completely, punt, so to speak, at their first door knock. Oh, that was an opportunity and completely didn't do it. That's okay. Go knock on the next door. Learn from it. Think about it. Build up why, okay, what went wrong? How can I make it better? That's all practice is, right? When we won a state championship in the high school basketball, tournament in Colorado, through that year, we lost to some teams we shouldn't have lost to. And those are the games we learn the most. Okay, this is what our mindset was going into this game. These are the plays we ran. Okay, we got too heavy shooting threes when we had a clear size advantage, right? And so we would go back in, learn from our mistake, practice to get better, and hopefully make it different on the other side. So no matter what it is, you must practice. There's no easy button in real estate, right? It must come and you must practice. You must get the reps in, no matter what the conversation's about. So let's talk about choosing the right lead generation. Certainly, if you need something to help you instigate conversations, maybe those paid ads will work. Maybe open houses will work. Maybe cold calling will work. It just depends on your personality. However, what we typically do is we try and do all of those things, right? Oh, Johnny in my office has an open house opportunity. I'm going to go do that. Oh, this lender is going to give me a list of, leads to call, right? So I'm going to cold call those. And I might try a couple FSBOs or expires, but just a couple, right? And then I'm going to, try and do YouTube, and I'm going to try and do Instagram, and, maybe I'll even have an event, right? And as you can see, you get spread so thin. And the key to any lead generation source is strategy and consistency, right? So if we have a strategy and we are consistent, put those together, over time, everything works. But we must get consistent. And if we're always looking at the next shiny object in whatever, we can absolutely get distracted and we don't get good at anything. That's the jack of all trades, master of none that absolutely ruins real estate careers. So if everything works, what do we need to do? Pick three. Pick three in different environments, right? I have a foundations course that will be released probably the middle of March. If you want to be on early access, I will give that to you for absolutely free if you comment on this video, right, before it's released and just say foundations course in the comments. I will send you the foundations course for absolutely free. It will cost money eventually, but in that course, we talk about 3 pillars, and you will also be provided 12-week accelerators that go with every single pillar, right? If you have, you're going to do open houses, we're going to leverage a sphere, right? Or something that you do for fun in social. And then we're going to do a passive social media kind of 12-week accelerator. If you focus on those 3 and you get really good and consistent at each path that you choose, then it's on, right? Then you can spread out and you can try different things here and there because you've built a foundation of business and you're not just going, picking and choosing everything that you can possibly do. So again, if you want free access to that, which will eventually cost money, foundations course in the comments, and I'll get that over to you upon release. So now that we talk about, choosing the right pillars and building our business through, a focused set of lead generation tactics, then it's all about consistency and organization. We're going to do it for 12 weeks. We're going to fully dedicate. We're going to be organized. The accelerator will help you kind of stay organized within that. And we're going to see. And guess what? After 12 weeks, if it absolutely sucks and it ruins your day and you hate doing it, we can find a different one. But The problem is that if it's a little bit hard at the beginning, we just kind of push it aside and we avoid it and we never try and get consistent, right? You could be an absolutely amazing, talker in person. So maybe door knocking's your thing. You get one door slammed in your face and you quit. And you say, I'm going to do all the other things. I'm going to keep myself distracted with TikTok and Instagram and YouTube instead of doing that. But maybe that was your calling. Maybe that was your way to build the business. We're going to do it for 12 weeks. We're going to dedicate to it. We're going to be consistent. And once we're consistent, we can see if it matches our skill set in order to produce results. So again, I'm going to leave you with this. Everything works. It just has to be strategically set up, and you must be consistent and give it a chance. And so no matter what it is, that's the answer. Once you have these pillars, certainly we can look down the list and be like, oh, that looks kind of cool. Let's try that. Let's throw that in there. Because you have these other 3 things working, building you business in the meantime. And so if you have any questions about that, again, go back and do what you have to do for the Foundations course, but also you can book a call with me. I'd love to sit down and chat with you about anything and everything that I can help you with. As I said, I am building a coaching platform that will probably launch in 2025. That's weird to say that's next year, but I'm building that out. So all the practice I can get, all the reps I can get, the better for me. So I'd be happy to sit down with you and chat about this question that I get. Do you provide leads? Certainly, I could go provide a bunch of people leads, but I know that the success rate of someone who accepts a lead in this industry is even less than just the real estate agent success rate in general. And that's what I'm looking to change. Go get a win today. Like, comment, subscribe, share the podcast, and we'll see you next time.